Relationships are literally the backbone to everything. They're everything we do, from jobs to church to entertainment. It's all built on relationships. And then the struggle comes when you find yourself in a toxic relationship, whether it be a toxic intimate relationship or even a toxic friendship. You might be in a relationship right now that you're like one cat away from having 20 cats. Just craziness. Or maybe you're one of those perfect people and you've never been in a toxic relationship before. So what are some characteristics of a toxic relationship? I wrote a few down. Here you go. You're in a relationship where it feels bad all the time. Or you're walking on eggshells. You're always waiting for the gotcha moment. Like, oh gosh, they blow up here. It's all work, love, and compromise. All the work, love, and compromise comes from you, not the other person. Or there's a constant scorecard. Every time something's said, it's, well, you did this wrong and you did this wrong, and they're always keeping score of that. Of course, there's physical and verbal abuse. Those are just toxic right off the bat. Or maybe there's too much passive-aggressive behavior. This is a big one. This divided into two sections here, where it's anger disguised as indifference. You get in an argument, it's like, fine, whatever, I'm fine. It's just like, come on, have a conversation. Or the manipulative side of it, where it's you're going out with your friends and they're like, no, that's fine. You go out and have fun. I'll just stay here alone. Right? Toxicity. And then all of that, there's different kinds of toxic. I'm just telling you this stuff. You probably already know it. Maybe one of these is in your relationship. The belittler. They're always making you feel smaller than what you are. The temper tantrum. This is the person that just loses their mind over every little thing. Or how about the guilter? They're always putting the guilt on you. Everything you do, anytime you do something they don't like, they're going to guilt you. Or they send someone else to tell you. Like, for example, let's say your dad calls to tell you how you not showing up for dinner made your mom feel. Right? Instead of mom just calling you and saying, hey, let's have a conversation. Toxicity. The deflector. You start having a conversation about, well, this bothered me or that bothered me. And they're always putting it on somebody else, or they're always putting it back on you. And when that conversation is over, you confronted them, but you end up apologizing because it's now your fault somehow. Or how about the over-dependenter? I made that word up just for you. The over-dependenter. This is the super passive-aggressive person that refuses to make a decision about anything, but then when you make the decision, they complain that you didn't make a decision that they wanted, right? Like, where do you want to go to eat? And nobody makes a decision. They never make a decision, so you make a decision, and they're like, well, I had to eat here. It's not really where I wanted to eat. Super passive-aggressive. There was a time where, let me see if I can explain it this way. I was in a wave pool a few years ago, and the waves are going or whatever. And my nephew, this little guy, he just jumped in, couldn't swim, and put his arm around my neck because he was scared. And just started choking the life out of me, choking the air out of me. And I went down. I had to do the whole hand up and call for a lifeguard and all of that. And they had to blow the whistle. Little teenage girl dove in and saved me. It was very embarrassing. But see, my nephew, he was struggling for air. And when he didn't have air, because that's the source of life, when he didn't have air, he latched onto somebody who had air and sucked the life out of me. And that's really, anytime you go to someone else for your self-validation, that forms a toxic relationship. It makes it toxic. Anytime we use another person for self-validation, we're in a toxic relationship. You remember the story of Jesus at the well? Maybe you don't. It's in John chapter 4, but this lady comes out to the well to get water, and Jesus says, go get your husband. And she says, I don't have a husband. And Jesus says, you're right. You've had 5 husbands, and the dude you're living with right now is not even your husband. See, and then Jesus goes in to explain to her how really the issue was not men. The issue was she was starving for love. And anytime we go to another person for that self-validation, she was going to other men to have herself validated. When really what she needed that love quotient in her filled. And there's only one way and one place to do that, and that's through this man named Jesus. He validates us just like we are, loves us just like we are, and rescues us from who we are trying to not be. Anytime you are going to someone else for your self-validation, it's like you're creating a petri dish waiting for toxicity to grow. Instead of recognizing your value in Christ and growing in that, and then allowing others to come into your relationship that you have with Jesus Christ. That's where you find your true value, because you are loved just like you are, and you are valued just like you are. So maybe you're in a toxic relationship right now and you're trying to figure it out and get out, or trying to figure out what's going on. Or maybe you don't even realize that you're in a toxic relationship. Just back up and look, are you trying to find your own validation and value in someone else? Or have you already found it in yourself, in this man named Jesus Christ?